Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Midas Letter RAW with Ed Milewski.
It's actually pronounced Milewski, but what the heck?
It's that kind of day. It's a Monday.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So we got a big show today. We've got some news by Alessandro Bruno, cannabis news coming up. We've got a great conversation with Alessandro on the future of cannabis. And James West will be interviewing Charles Turk from 9 Point UIT Alternative, a health fund manager. How does that sound?
Sounds great. It's the first Monday after Labor Day.
The first Monday after Labor Day. So what does that mean?
Well, I was on the treadmill this morning early, and a guy was saying that that's when the real markets kick off. After the summer. It's not that like last week was still, people are coming back, they're getting, blah, 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 taking their time. Maybe they had a 2-day week or whatever, but we're back into it now. We're back into the real world maybe.
So what I'm hearing is people kind of took last week as it's still a little bit of vacation, haven't really...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had a gentleman on. He was talking about rates, talking about interest rates, and I haven't been paying much attention. But I've got a chart up here now, and it's a 10-year U.S. bond rate. It's the chart of the 10-year Treasuries, and if you look here, I just make a couple points, and then I'm going to try and tie this into what some of the other things are doing. Just a minute here.
Let's look at the interest rates.
Yeah. Just bear with me as I try to...
Just looking at our chat here. Hello, Faye. Faye Smith is with us. Great to have you here. Let's see who else is joining. Oh, did you know that we're about 60 people away from 20,000 subscribers on YouTube? Today's a big day. I think we're going to hit it. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. The YouTube channel, YouTube Midas Letter Live, Midas Letter RAW, you'll find it. And make sure you hit the bell as well. So that's 20,000. I think we can do it today. What do you think, Ed?
I think
we're going to get there today?
I think so.
I think we need our fans' help. So if you know anyone who you think might like the show, please share it with them. We appreciate it.
So for some reason, my pen's not working, but we're going to use this chart just to make a couple of points. So this is a 30-day chart of the bond.
Okay.
And we were here. You can see that area right in here. Mm-hmm. Is it working? I can't, like the chart doesn't.
Yeah, the crosshairs seem to be, there you go.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Houston, we have a problem. Maybe we need a new battery for our pen.
Well, nonetheless, I think people can see.
So in the last month, rates have moved around. They've been dropping precipitously, except in the last 3 or 4 days, ever since there was this comment by Trump, and gold got skewered.
Right.
Interest rates rallied. So where did they rally? They rallied from about 1.43%, which is very close to the all-time low rate. And now they're trading at around 161. So, if you were going to invest 4 days ago into these things, you'd get 142. Today you can get 161. It doesn't sound like a lot, but obviously rates have gone up. Well, what has happened? Gold has been smashed. And
gold's been smashed.
And when I say smashed, it was moving along. Everybody's bullish. Everybody's got a sort of, gold. Well, look, I got the chart up of gold here, same time frame, and the last few days, 1 month, yeah. So you know what? Look at this. From in here, why is my trusty...
Your pen's not so trusty today. Well, we've got Reefer Aljoint has joined us. Hello.
Oh yeah, we got
nice to see you here. Carl Bowden's made it. All right. Couple, yes, 20,000 subscribers. Let's see, what is my... According to now, we just got a new subscriber, so we're at 19,935.
Jeepers. I won't be able to sleep tonight. Anyway, I got the pen working.
Okay.
Okay. So look. So we gold was up to this level in here, and in the last few days, I think that's about 3 days of action. It's dropped quite a bit.
That's a lot of action.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You think about it. Here we were here. Mm-hmm. We got up to here, and now we're back to in this area in here. So you wonder if we were going to go up and come down, why wouldn't we just stay where we were? I've always asked that, and I say it with tongue in cheek, but sometimes you go up and you come right back down. So why did we go up in the first place? So
charts wouldn't be very interesting, I think.
I know. So, and then I look back and I say, okay, when did gold peak the last time on the last bull run? Which was you got to go back to. I'm going to just shut this off here in a minute. Just let me put this up. I want to make a point because. There we go. Okay, now we put up a 5-year chart of gold, and look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to find this just fascinating. That was sort of the peak prior to the breakout of the last couple of months. And if you look and you say, when did, so that was sort of the middle of 2016, okay? So roughly 3 years, 4 months ago, 3 years, 3 months ago. Then you look back on that chart of that bond. Guess when interest rates bottomed? Right there, right at that middle. And I'll. Why trust me? I'll show you.
Yeah, tell me. Why trust you?
Okay. Yeah, why trust me? So here we are.
Pen's working.
Pen's working. And there we go. And here, that's when gold peaked.
Yeah.
The middle of 2016, and that's when interest rates bottomed. That's the all-time low on that bond. We got very close here, and yet gold's much higher. Gold's much higher, even though interest rates aren't as low. And I can only think that this precipitous drop, which only took place in a very short period of time, when things move very quickly, things move very quickly, and other instruments that are sort of tied in.
What does it mean that it's moving so fast in that general direction? Do you think we've reached a bottom there?
Look, we were, if you look at interest rates for the last, 5-6 years in this particular instrument, the highest that this bond got to is yielding about 320, I think 323. That was only a year ago. This is a 5-year chart. That was right in here. And then look at this. We've gone from about 320 down to 143, but we can't, look how fast, this has all happened in less than 1 year of a 5-year program.
Wow.
So volatility, unbelievable. Rates are low. Now, if rates keep dropping, gold's going to keep up. But this tells me that if rates don't keep dropping, maybe gold isn't going to keep going up. Although the chart for gold does look extremely compelling, I would bet on gold. And yet, when you look at these charts, just goes to show you on any given day, flip a coin. Just kidding.
Think gold ETFs are a good idea?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, especially
spread a little bit.
But you got to be careful. You don't want to get into the triple leveraged ones because most people don't understand. There's rebalancing every day means there's slippage. So if all things being even, if the thing doesn't move, the thing will drop in price. You stick to a 1-for-1. If you want to buy an ETF, make your life simple, buy a 1-for-1. The double leverage and the triple leverage, it's heroin. Like, you know, an ETF is like smoking pot. Get into the triple ETF, it's like heroin.
That's some strong stuff.
It's strong stuff,
So
and it'll drive you.
Is there ETF? Does anything come to mind?
Well, the big one in gold is the GLD.
Okay.
It's the biggest. It's a tenth of an ounce, and it tracks bullion. If you put up a chart of the spot price of gold, superimpose it on the GLD,
right?
It moves in lockstep.
Okay.
Okay. That's where all the money ends up in the GLD. All right.
Great.
So there we go. So.
Well, I think that's a good start.
Okay.
I think we're going to take some time to hear some news from Alessandro Bruno.
Here's what's making cannabis headlines this September 9th, 2019. Halo Labs Inc. announced that the warrants issued in connection with Halo's private placement, which closed on June 29th, 2018, and business combination, which closed on October 2nd, 2018, have been approved for listing on the NEO exchange. The warrants are expected to commence trading on or about September 11th, 2019, under the symbol HLOWT.A. An aggregate of 87.6 million warrants are issued and outstanding. Each warrant entitles the holder to acquire one common share at the price of 80 cents per share. Canopy Rivers Inc. announced that as of the opening of the markets today, its Class A subordinated voting shares will begin trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol RIV. This milestone was achieved within less than 1 year of Canopy Rivers' initial go-public transaction. The Green Organic Dutchman Holdings Limited and Caliper Foods announced the results of a preliminary human pharmacokinetic study of Caliper CBD. Caliper CBD is a proprietary tasteless and odorless water-soluble powder that can be added to almost any food or beverage. Observed total bioavailability of Caliper water-soluble CBD was found to be 4.5 times greater than CBD in a carrier oil, and higher cannabinoid absorption was observed for the Caliper CBD within 15 minutes compared to the maximum absorption of CBD in oil in 45 minutes. Organigram Holdings Inc. has received Health Canada's approval for the licensing of 17 additional cultivation rooms under the cannabis regulations. The new cultivation rooms represent approximately 15,000 kilograms per year of increased target production capacity. These are the first 17 rooms licensed within the company's Phase 4B expansion, and now brings the company's Moncton facility to an annualized license capacity for a target of 76,000 kilograms. Village Farms International, Inc. announced that its 50% owned joint venture Pure Sun Farms has received from Health Canada the amendment to its license permitting it to sell and distribute packaged dried cannabis products directly to provincial territorial wholesalers and authorized private retailers. Pure Sun Farms has supply agreements in place with the Ontario Cannabis Retail Corporation and the British Columbia Liquor Distribution Branch. The Supreme Cannabis Company, Inc. has announced that its wholly owned subsidiary, 7 Acres, has launched a proprietary strain called Jack Haze. Jack Haze is the first of 7 Acres proprietary strains to enter the market. Due to its unique characteristics, Jack Haze achieves 7 Acres' highest average selling price to the provinces. Medicine Man Technologies, Inc. has entered into a binding term sheet to acquire 4 additional dispensaries in Colorado from a leading cannabis retailer. Medicine Man Technologies will purchase a group of 4 dispensaries for $50 million, consisting of $25 million in cash and the issuance of 4.2 million shares at a price of $2.98 per share. The company is now on pace to operate a total of 27 dispensaries in Colorado. And that's your news for today. To keep up to date on all cannabis news, visit the Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
Welcome back. In this segment, we're going to be looking at cannabis with Alessandro Bruno. Welcome.
Hello, Mark.
How's it going?
Okay, thanks. A little tired, but
No problem.
have a long bicycle ride this weekend. So,
Yeah, tell me about that. You had a long trek.
yeah, 100 kilometers
100 kilometers.
in a little over 4 hours.
Wow. On a classic bicycle,
On
right?
a classic old bicycle.
What
Yes.
kind of bike is that?
Bianchi.
Bianchi.
Yeah, that's a kind of. They say you can reach a high, during some of these events.
And did you get that
They call it the
bicycling high?
cyclist high.
The cyclist high,
Yes.
okay.
Actually, I think I did get something. I experienced a kind of euphoria at
Yeah?
one point. Yes, when you're cycling in a group and you're being sucked in, aerodynamically speaking, you all of a sudden the effort seems like butter.
Yeah.
And you're moving, you're pedaling. You realize you're pedaling, but you don't feel any effort, and you're moving at a nice pace, and the beautiful countryside around you, and it's absolutely relaxing.
Sounds like you had that flow-like experience, right?
The flow-like experience, and I think that's the experience that a lot of people are looking for with cannabis.
Well, let's talk about marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, the words are different, but the point is, I think, unique. It is not unique, single. I think what most investors should know about marijuana is that it's here to stay. In other words, there is no other course for the industry but to become regulated and legal worldwide eventually. So it's just a matter of time before this happens. I think you cannot stop this train.
Right. And marijuana has a long history.
That's the thing.
Let's talk a little bit about the future of marijuana.
Okay, well, to understand the future of marijuana, and I think this is where investors or regulators and politicians in particular those who are skeptical, or not even skeptical, but resistant,
Okay.
reluctant to legalize, that it is inevitable for this to happen because marijuana has an extremely long past. It goes back to the Neolithic period. Neolithic period meaning before written, recorded history, at the beginning of farming. And the uses are multiple. So to understand where the industry is going, look to the past. I will be writing an article about this topic, analyzing it in a little bit more detail than the discussion. But I think this is important to reassure investors the industry is not going to go away.
Right.
Now, when it comes to picking which stocks and companies to bet on, that's a different story. You have to look at a number of factors. But there are clear indicators that a number of them will probably be absorbed into some kind of consolidation, as happened during the technology sector. But even then, I don't think we're going to end up with the kind of monopolies that we've had with the technology industry.
Right, like the cell phone industry in Canada.
Yes.
We've got basically 3 big companies that own everything, and that due to regulation, it's tough to have that competition. But what do you think the competition is going to be like in the future with marijuana?
Well, I think there's going to be something like cigarette brands.
Okay.
So you're going to have some consolidation there in a mainstream area. But you're also going to have room for smaller players with diversified and special luxury products. Or by luxury,
let's
I mean...
talk a bit about the luxury. What do you see happening with luxury brands in marijuana?
Well, that's where by luxury, I don't necessarily mean high price. I mean this special use or some very targeting a special kind of consumer.
Okay.
I see, for example, potential for, just like in the perfume industry, or, well, you've got how many, and cigars. You don't have cigars, you have multiple brands. Some of them you can invest in because the companies that own these brands are also invested in liquor and watches and leather goods, for example, the Louis Vuitton group, LMVH. It's one of the most powerful stocks in Europe. I think perhaps the most powerful in France, if I'm not mistaken. But I see some of the brands being incorporated in some of these kind of companies.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if you will see a Louis Vuitton vape pen in the future.
Really?
Yes, I think this is going to happen.
With their signature patterns.
Signature patterns. It's going to become let's call it the generic lifestyle. Once the acceptance level of marijuana goes beyond the current, I think it's shifting, but we don't have a full shift, or what's the word that they use? We don't have mass. We haven't
adoption.
We haven't reached critical mass.
Critical
yet.
mass.
This is also why there is potential. I think a number of stocks are still floating, bubbling. Get them while you can, because a lot of them will be absorbed if they have a good product.
Now, the public perception. What is the public perception right now?
Well, at least we can discuss this, but the way I see it, and in discussions,
right? Everyone has an opinion.
Yes, and what I read, and conversations I have with people, it seems to me there's still, let's call it the granola type.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people see the Birkenstock wearing cyclist, perhaps. Very environmentally conscious person smoking marijuana, and but sometimes even extreme types, in defiance of technology and civilization. So the anti-vaccine type, or anti-Western medicine, only herbs for me type. But then I think that's changing, of course. Marijuana, cannabis is becoming more mainstream. The holistic, let's call it the holistic.
Yeah.
And then still a kind of semi-criminal element too, which is...
So are gone the days that hippies run, or the idea of who smokes marijuana?
Yes, okay, that's a good word, hippie.
Yeah.
But also some criminal elements. And I think this is kind of the perception that's pushed by conservatives as well. There's still that pushback. At the same time, I see even... I don't see how it's going to be possible to hold this movement back. And once the United States adopts full legalization for all states, I think the rest of the world, particularly in the West, will be forced to follow.
Right.
I mean, tobacco came from America.
So legalization in the U.S., that's kind of a game changer.
It is. Europe
it's
too.
hard to speculate, but what kind of timeline would people be thinking about?
2020.
2020.
U.S. election. The Democrats they'll have few weapons against Trump. Not because Trump is such a great president necessarily, but he owns the media. The media pays too much attention to him, and it's one thing that some politicians have learned to be talked about, whether for worse or for better, but don't disappear from the media.
So for the Democrats to win, you're saying marijuana's got to be a big conversation.
Yes, it's going to be. They're going to use it as a big conversation piece. Yes, a very important part, and they're going to be pushing for all state legalization. Once the regulatory environment in the United States is eased for 50 states, and there's no longer companies no longer have to worry about what to do about regulations as states change. That's makes it very complicated right now.
Well, one of the fastest growing demographics is the aging community, older people.
Yes.
And Congress is no doubt full of older people, so maybe by the time this comes to table, it'll be something that can actually go through.
Yeah.
But if you look at strictly revenues, there's huge money to be made, so that'll probably be a big driver. What do you think?
No, I'm sure it will be, and actually even from a demographics point of view and the age, I think the regulated cannabis industry will appeal more to older people.
Right.
I think perhaps there's a risk that young people may lose interest because, let's face it, as we've gone through high school, whatever was prohibited and was fun and appealing. once you make it mainstream, you make it an adult product. So it takes away the fun. But this is what's going to happen. I think the fun will be taken away, and it'll become a serious product. The serious effects, the important effects of marijuana will be exploited, the medical side, and it will be an important substance. And that is the perception that process is already happening. Once full legalization occurs, it will become, there'll be much more competition from, we'll see luxury brands, pharmaceutical brands. I mean, who has really, we have to look at why cannabis was made illegal in the first place.
Why was it made illegal in the first place?
Well, one of the, apart from the rise of the pharmaceutical industry certainly contributed.
So pharmaceuticals said they were the driver as to why...
one of the drivers, certainly the rise of
why it was criminalized.
Yes, and they probably, I don't have evidence for this, but I would urge people to look, to search. I think much of the pressure on politicians that want to block want to block legalization of cannabis might be coming from the pharmaceutical industry.
Pharmaceutical lobbyists.
Yes, for sure. Which are there are many pharmaceutical lobbyists in Washington.
Well, if they're driving now, the medical cannabis is such a big conversation, or a big, if pharmaceutical companies are leading that, I guess if you could take a pill, and there's more companies coming out with
easy to take.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to smoke, or you don't have to.
That is
other ways you consume it.
That's right, and that is also one of the big drivers of the industry. When technology comes in, when you need big companies from external to the plant, chemical companies or people designing devices to facilitate and improve the inhalation of cannabis and the benefits. And when you get doctors, biologists mixed together, when you get all these very established, very clean or sectors, by clean I mean in quotation marks, various, then you're going to have a very appealing industry which cannot be possibly contained to very silly, to be polite laws.
Well, it definitely sounds like it's going to be really diverse.
Yeah.
I kind of see more green products in the sense that, like Advil with cannabis,
yes,
right? People have headaches, and sometimes they get high to combat some kind of anxiety or
pain.
Yeah, it's just a pain relief.
It's a pain reliever. It's a natural pain reliever.
So green pain relief.
So yes, that is actually one of the main things.
So, for example, Shoppers Drug Mart will see more cannabis logos across a lot of products.
That's right, but for that to happen, we need a cultural shift, and I think it is happening, but we're not. We're just at the beginning. So hold on to the cannabis stocks. Pick the good ones.
Okay, you heard it here. Hold on to the cannabis
because
stocks.
we're also entering a very iffy economic period, and the kind of period where people look for relief. Alcohol was, although banned during Prohibition, became very important. What was one of the first things that Roosevelt did when he came to
what did he do?
During the Great Depression? He repealed Prohibition.
So this is the modern day prohibition.
Yeah, we are an epochal shift in a number of things. I think this is one of them, and it is a new industry with huge potential that goes beyond the cannabis plant itself. There's a whole world around it.
And if you're watching the stocks, looking closely, there's probably some undervalued opportunities.
I'm sure there's a lot of undervalued possibilities now. The problem is to pick the ones that fit. There are a number of good ones, and a lot of companies are doing very interesting things.
Anyone you'd say to watch?
Well, of the small ones, I do like the ones that are sponsored by Midas Letter.
Yeah, we'll make a little shout out to Halo Labs,
Chiron, and RavenQuest. These are companies that have very interesting technologies, and they're very strategic marketing plans.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have. Appreciate Alessandro.
Thank you.
And we'll do this again soon.
Thank you.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at midasletter.com.
So we got a few new subscribers.
Thanks to your...
Yeah, I think 2 more. So getting a little closer. 20,000. 20,000
gonna be
subscribers. So Cannabis.
Yeah, we've had. You know, look, the space has been weak up until a few days ago. You know, weed got down to almost $30.
Right.
Tilray got down to 25. I got the chart of Tilray up right now. Why don't we take a look at that?
Okay.
And as we can see here, Tilray, which is, you know, this thing has had a lot of attention and for a lot of reasons, and it, you know, shot up to $300. It's around $30 now. So, but the 300, let's not. Anyway, we broke down here when they came out with their last results. The stock was around, you know, 42. It gapped down. It hit 25, almost $25 here. Had a nice rally, and today stock got to 30, you know, almost $34, almost 34 from 25. So you think about a $9 move. So
Yeah.
on 25 in a matter of, you know, 3 or 4 days, that's a big move.
$9.
On 25, that's like 35%. You know, it's a monster move. You know, who makes 35%? Well, anyway, we'll talk about that later. So we're turned around. So let's just take a look at that. Let's not make any comments. Let's look at weed.
Okay.
I think weed's still the biggest marijuana company in the world. I know there's a couple that are getting closer, and you know, same kind of thing here. So on the 28th of August, we had a great looking candle down in here where you got a small body, you got a big wick and a big tail. I think that's a doji candle.
What's the timeline?
What's that?
What's the timeline you have up there?
Okay, this is a 1 month chart. So this is
Okay.
the whole chart's 1 month. So if you look back, so I think 6-4. This is August 28th. August
Got it.
28th, we got down to close to $30 briefly. Closed around 30, just under 31, and since then, so we've, you know, not a long time, a week or so, we've got over $37 today. Pretty big move, 7 on 30. Not quite like Tilray.
Right.
But I think the structure would be different. But there's your big move. Interestingly enough, we're just below this blue line here, which is rolling down. The blue line, I believe, is you know, it's a moving average. Looks like it's a 20-day, well, a simple moving average, 200-day.
Can you back it up to a year?
Yeah.
Just give some people
A little different perspective.
Yeah.
Just let me get rid of this. There's okay, 1 year. Wow. There you go. So we got a 1 year chart, and let's just so obviously you know what, I might even put up a 2 year chart.
Yeah. Just looking at the chat room here, and everyone misses Nika Domi. She's not with us at the moment, but I've seen some of her interviews. Quite good.
Yeah, absolutely.
What? Okay. So we got a year up?
That's 2 years.
2 years now.
In 2 years, we've done you know, and we got a top in that area there. This is over about that's probably a year. So we've been up there. This blue line, this moving average line, I'm going to try and retrace it so you can see it. You can see it was pretty strong here, and now it's sort of flattened out and it slightly downturning. I'm not going to suggest that it's going to continue to downturn, but obviously there's some stress in the sector.
Yeah.
So we were up to close to $70 here, not that long ago. That's probably a quarter of a year or 4 months.
Right.
And we got down to 30. When you look at the 30 to 37 move, it doesn't look that big. It's just this little blip here. But we're sort of had a little bit of a run now. We've rolled over. So Canopy and Tilray look to be moving along the same. These are bigger marijuana companies. Now, somebody mentioned that Liberty Health Science, which is a smaller company.
Yeah, it's in the. I've got the small cap index up, our Midas small cap. The composite index there.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to change the. So as far as all the companies we have in the index, LHS is had the biggest change recently. I can pull that up.
Yeah. I'm going to do that right now.
And if you notice there.
So here we are again. This when you put up this chart and you put up the chart we just saw of Canopy.
Yeah.
The move that we've just seen is very, very similar in terms of how it looks from this perspective. It's not that big a move, and yet it is a big move.
Right.
It's moved from, sort of the mid to high, sort of like high 30 range to the mid 50 range.
And Canopy is in the right corner there. You can compare the two.
Well, you can compare that last move.
Yeah, they're almost mirroring each other.
Look, like they say, the rising tide lifts all boats and
floats all boats.
Yeah.
Ed, have you subscribed yet to the YouTube channel?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think I know how.
Because we could use your help.
Okay. All right.
Here, I've got on my screen there the Midas Letter.
Can you subscribe?
This is how you do it, Ed. I'm going to show you.
All right.
You just hit subscribe here. That's it.
Where?
Well, I'm going to unsubscribe so I can show you again. See this little red area there? That's subscribe.
Where it says subscribe?
Yeah, where it says subscribe, 19K.
Okay.
So I hit subscribe, but then what you got to remember is you got to hit this bell. So that bell lets you get notified. It's that easy. So I think if I go back to our live update.
Look at this. They're just.
We're up to, so that was me.
Wow. So when you unsubscribe,
19,936.
One comes off and then one goes back on, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how it works. One up, one down.
I want to keep going here on this marijuana theme. I want to look at CWeb because CWeb has always been one of the best performers. I want to see how it's reacted in this environment. Sure. Just 1 second.
It's at the bottom of the heat map.
Is that today?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's obviously not having a good day.
Minus 0.75. 5.75.
So that was down 5%, almost 6%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's having a. Okay, so Charlotte's Web's been trading. Looks like this is about a year now, just over a year. Okay, and you can see it's extremely volatile. They're doing quite well. So let me just, you know what? I'm gonna put up a 1-year chart here. Here we go. So they're very volatile. Lots of action, lots of ups and downs. Clearly here for the first half of the year, nice big move. There's a big top, $33, $34, all the way down to, can you imagine, $14, $15, cut in half. Then couple more, you know, up 2, down 1, up 2, down 1, and here we are, back in the sort of a $20 range. Yeah, it's these charts are it doesn't really look like to me there's any clear. Obviously, if the company's revenues keep growing and they keep selling product and doing all the right things, the stock should perform.
Do you think it's a fair reflection of what's happening right now? How are they valued relative to?
You know what? That's a good question, and I spend my time looking at charts. I rarely try and
love them.
Look at the fundamentals,
right?
Because the fundamentals are baked into the chart. But right now, you say, hey, over the last year, this stock is quite a bit higher than where it was a year ago. Not many companies can say that right now,
right,
in this space. So they're doing something right. Another good one, an American one, is this True Leaf, which has got all the dispensaries in Florida.
Right.
So maybe we'll take a look at True Leaf.
Yeah. What do they have? They just
I think 31 dispensaries.
Okay.
And the lady that was Nika did a great job. Kim Rivers was here, and Nika did a great job interviewing her, and she seems like a very sharp lady, and she's not that interested in doing a lot of different things, except she wants to focus on her knitting. Like, in other words, she wants to keep rolling out these dispensaries that are generating cash.
Makes sense, right?
You know what? Everybody gets so esoteric and wants to do this and do that.
Business can be simple. Sometimes it's just sticking to what works and not trying to.
That was the expression. Sticking to your knitting.
Sticking to your knitting.
Okay, let's see. True Leaf. TRUL in the U. That's in Canada, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. 1081. Well, look at. And here's one that has all the bells and whistles. We probably looked at this last week, but that was the original takeoff. This is all in a year, but here we are. True Leaf is closer to its lows. There, is that? Yep. And here the low is here.
What's the bottom there?
This is around 950, and I think we're currently trading around 1020. In here?
Yeah, it looks like that.
Maybe closer to 11, something in that range. So we're close to the lows, but you know what? We're still, you get these moves, and you just wonder, are we seeing a pattern of where we're going to be range bound? So if things get really exciting here, maybe there's going to be some legislation in the U.S. We're going to do this, we're going to do that.
I don't think it'll just go sideways.
Well, it won't straight line, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because it won't, straight line means death, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to see that.
No.
All right. Let's take a look at Chiron.
Yeah.
Chiron's had a bit of a run.
You got him on your screen there?
Yeah, I can get it up here pretty. I was going to say I can get it up pretty fast.
We're also going to open up one of the
Okay.
the large cap index there. See what we got going on.
Yeah, I got to be careful what X I hit here, because is that Chiron in the lower right? No.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. I'll get it. I'll get mine. I got to be careful what I say here. KHRN. $1.65. Okay, so look, again, this is a 10-day chart. Let's put up a 1-year chart. Okay, so 1-year chart. The stock was on fire here 6 months ago when it ran up to, and we've had a nice move here. But look at that move. We tested it. It failed, and the company's got a lot of initiatives going. And I think it looks to me now, we were oversold here and we rallied, we came down. I think we're gonna see this again. Stock's at $1.65, $1.70. It's been a bit lower. They got lots going on. A lot of this group is sort of starting to look like it's getting all lumped in together to me.
They're definitely rallying for a move, that's for sure.
Sure.
Well, let's cut to an interview with Charles Turk and James West.
Hey, I'm James West.
I'm Jeff Zananeri.
And we're here talking to Charles Turk, who's the portfolio manager for the 9-Point UIT Alternative Health Fund. Chuck, welcome.
Thanks very much for having me.
Chuck, there's 3 ways that an individual investor can play the cannabis space and expose themselves to the upside inherent in the cannabis phenomenon now underway.
Yep.
One is to play something passive, completely passive, like an ETF. The second is to play something like an actively managed fund, such as the one you manage. And the third would be to invest directly in early stage pre-public startup opportunities if you can get them,
Right.
which are not generally available to the public.
Right.
So let's start with the ETF. What are the pros and cons for the individual investor in choosing an ETF strategy?
Well, and there's really 2 types of ETFs. There's completely passive ETFs. So they add companies once a quarter, and really it's a market-weighted mentality. And so we kind of look at that as being a bit of a structural flaw because it allows more capital to come into the fund because you've got a lot of liquidity. But when you look at the quality of some of the names, you've really got to ask yourself, do you want to own the largest Canadian companies, or do you want to own the best Canadian companies? And so a passive strategy puts you into something that you're locked into, and you have no alternatives, such as when the CEO is terminated and you liked that strategy, there's now a new strategy that's going to be developed for one of the leading Canadian LPs, talking about Canopy, but Canopy is a 10% weight in the Horizons HMMJ. But you liked the way it was operated before, and now you're locked. So there are limits and challenges. So you have no preference. You just go and get exposure. I would say the biggest challenge that we have with the HMMJ is that it's very top heavy as well. The top 10 represent like 70% of the overall fund. So when people say you're going to get exposure to the sector, you really don't get wide exposure. You get exposure to those 10 names, and some of them aren't even cannabis names. One of them is Scott's Miracle-Gro, which has really not devoted a lot of its operations to cannabis. They do have cannabis focus, but I would say that that stock isn't necessarily going to give you the growth in what your expectation is with respect to investing in cannabis. Now you contrast being in a passive ETF with being in our fund. We're active. We look at the changing dynamics of the sector. We're going to meet with management teams. We go and visit the facilities and we check out how many grow rooms they have and what's their cost per gram and what are their expectations for future quarters and what products are they working on. And we talk to some of the operational people when you're going through the facilities, and we check with analysts against our models. And so we're constantly doing a review and analysis on where those companies are trading relative to the value that we put on them. Sometimes we take profit. Sometimes they run really well very quickly. And you can't hesitate to take profit, especially in this type of sector, which is an early stage sector.
And Charles, your fund, if I'm not mistaken, has access to private equity, correct?
Yes.
Which is advantageous to get into deals earlier in the growth cycle, yeah?
That's right. So we're going to own them private, and then they'll go public, and we'll get a good lift when they start trading, which is another benefit when you're looking at a mutual fund versus an ETF, because ETFs are precluded from owning private equity.
Excellent.
Yep. Good point.
All right, and so the third method is to, if you're so fortunate to be exposed to early stage private companies that are raising money ahead of a go public strategy, What's the upside for the investor? What are the risks?
Well, so the biggest risk, I mean, there's lots of upside, but the individuals that I have met, even people that are in some of these companies, patience is a big factor. They've done very well in other business ventures, whether it's real estate investing, investing in the equity markets, whatever it is. And they don't have the appreciation of waiting. They want it to happen now. And so on individuals, the biggest risk is to their own psychology, is investing as an accredited investor, number one, which means they've got to usually write a bigger check.
Sure.
So parting with a larger amount of money. Two, having it be locked up for a period of time. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't pay great attention to, that you need to realize the company needs to grow, needs to come to fruition. You don't want them to go public too early, because then, what traction are they going to get in the market? So you want them to be ready, you want them to have good management that recognizes the timing that's appropriate to get the biggest bang for the buck.
So the key to succeeding as an individual investor in early stage privates is not to expect immediate gratification, but rather to let the whole business proposition get fully baked before it goes public.
Yes.
Patience,
Patience.
Yes.
That's a great point.
All right, Charles, that's a great contribution. As usual, we're glad to have you back, and we hope to have you back soon. Thanks for joining us again.
Terrific. Thank you.
So Nika Domi is in the chat room now. She made it.
Hey,
Nika.
She's a trooper. We got to
Yeah.
get her back here ASAP.
Everyone was looking for her.
Maybe we'll have an interview with her this week.
Yeah. If she's able.
If she's willing and able.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like Cain and Abel, but willing and able.
Cain and Abel,
It's a little biblical reference.
of course.
So,
Okay.
so, yeah, you know what? We've got some things. I see weeds moved back up a bit, but I've looked at. I got Kronos up here now. Kronos did that big deal with the big tobacco company.
I don't know too much about that.
Yeah. Well, they pulled off a barn buster of a deal.
Barn buster.
Barn buster.
That sounds like quite the deal.
It's barn buster. And Kronos hit $32. I think they got $2.5 billion in cash. They're sitting on a lot of money.
Wow.
Because of this relationship with Altria. I think it's Altria. Anyway, look, the stock's half of what it was. Half of what it was, but it's still a lot higher, if you look at it. And again, we're gonna
Yeah, that blue line looks like
well, it's
left to...
yeah, just double click, right? There, see that? Jeepers creepers. Okay, there's the blue line.
Did you go to art school, Ed? Your
No.
Your lines are
Yeah.
something else.
Where are we down here? Look at this. So a year ago.
I don't know how you see that.
Yeah, how in the hell is this thing? Is this?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong?
You're good.
Okay. Anyway, look, we don't go below that 200-day line, but it's starting to go below it now, isn't it? Right there. And we've been the action has been above the line. It's now below the line. Again, this company has probably got the best balance sheet, or one of the best balance sheets, by virtue of its monstrous cash position. Okay, so we'll knock that off, and then we'll take a look at Afria.
A lot of cash sounds like a good problem to have.
Yeah. And here's APHA. And I know this is a widely held deal. And again, here's a, this must be, it's a 2-year. Okay, the last chart, sorry, was a 2-year chart. I want to make that clear because I didn't think it was that low. But 2 years ago, Kronos was like $3-4.
Right.
And it shot up to 30 odd. And now it's around 16. So, I mean, if you paid 25, 28, you're not happy. But if you paid 3 or 4, it's still a good deal. This one here looks, I mean, it's volatile as hell, Afria. Look at this. Look at some of these moves in the low 20s a couple times. But here we are in the middle of the page, aren't we? Really. And the blue line does look, I just want to draw that line in there because it does look like it's starting to roll a little bit. I think it's a fair statement. Look at this move. Look at this move.
Look at those mountains.
Yeah, I know.
Peaks and valleys.
And here we are trading at around what, $8? No, sorry, 9 and change. 9 and change.
So what does that mean?
You know what? Unfortunately, when you get into these bubbles, and I'll say it's a bubble because so much money was made at the beginning, when you have more and more people underwater, that acts as a sort of obstacle to, people that they see this price move, they're willing to sell it a lot more than if they just held it at the highs. If you're holding it at the highs, you're thinking, hey, blue sky, a lot of room to go,
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna move and take a look at see how the S&P did here.
So Nika Domi said she couldn't make it because she had to drive her grandma somewhere for an appointment. It's acceptable.
Family, yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, so let's see how the S&P, and this S&P has got me really, really, if this thing rolls over and starts taking out those recent lows, and let's put up the chart here before I get into a dissertation.
Yeah, and you've got it up on the bottom right there.
Okay, so that's a 2-year chart. I don't want to look at that one right now. I want to look at a 1-year chart.
1 year.
Okay, so today down a little bit, or actually it looks like it's kind of a flat day. A flat day, we've had a couple of flat days. What I'm going to do, I'm going to actually put up a 6-month.
Do we learn anything from a flat day?
Well, you can. If you have too many flat days after a move up, it suggests that we're getting ready for a move in the other direction. Same with a downward move, and then you start to see it just sort of base out. Then you're getting ready for another move.
So flat day is not enough information.
Well,
it is information.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay. Is it a month?
That is 3 months, but
3 months.
I'm interested in that line there is broken to the upside. So I'd say it's probably going to try and grind higher, but you've got this massive support level here. I think that the high was 3,029.50 if my memory serves me correct. That's the highest, the S&P, and right now we're at 2,979, up a half a point. So just under 50 points away from the all-time high. Yeah, I want to see how this gets resolved. I want to see if the bulls win or the bears win, because there's a lot of reasons why this market should roll over, and yet maybe with rates so low, like how can things, like if you can't have business conducted in an extremely low rate environment, what if rates start to tick up? How can the markets go up? So there's a real conundrum. There's a real, back and forth. There's a real fight going on here between the bulls and the bears, and you got this election looming.
Well, you're making some really good points about the bulls and bears. Let's just take a second to thank our sponsor,
Okay.
Halo Labs. They're doing all kinds of great things. And
a lot of products coming out, don't they?
Tons of products.
Yeah.
So take a look at Halo.
Yeah,
HaloCanna.com.
Yeah.
Got their website there. Halo Canna, check it out. And a few more things. Let's take a look at that YouTube subscriber. We had a big push today to get to 20,000, and I think we got 5 subscribers since we started. But the day isn't over,
No,
right? It's
no.
not how you start a race.
No, it's...
So we'll keep watching that the rest of
So
the day.
if you're in a race and you overtake the guy who's in second place, what position are you in?
First.
No, you're in second place because you overtook the guy.
Oh, right, man.
Anyway, just stay on your toes here, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
That's
Well, that's our show for today. Appreciate everyone who was able to join us, and we will see you tomorrow.